All right, so continuing on the inspiration of Gary V. From the financial news and sort of talk about it. And today's actually comes from CNBC. It is authored by a gentleman named Matt Rosoff, Rosoff, Matt Rosoff, I think. Anyways, in his article, his title was "Here's What Will Happen to the Tech Industry in a Recession." And I found this to be a great article because if you follow this channel for any length of time, you know that in the last 2 weeks or so, I kind of tweaked my thesis to that we're in a recession. And again, I don't think recessions are called until after the fact. So I think we're in one. I think with shipping down and just mail being down, I think there's all indications that we as consumers are shopping less. I think Disney reported a horrible quarter and Uber had one as well. And I just think all the signs are there. And then I thought this article was pretty well timed by Matt because we've been in a 10-year run. And I think the Silicon Valley, the Bay Area, is in for a rude awakening. I lived and worked through the Great Recession of '08. I also cut my teeth during the Dotcom Crash. And I think this next recession could be very similar to the Dotcom Crash in this way, as opposed to the Great Recession, which I think was really caused by an asset bubble. Back in the dot-com days, if you haven't been investing long enough, it was weird, right? As an accounting major, as an MBA student, we were seeing companies get crazy evaluations by essentially losing money, right? For example, they would sell a widget for $90 that cost $100 to make, and the running joke was we'd make it up on volume. I mean, you're losing $10 per unit. How can you make it up on volume? But I mean, go back and look at it. There was all kinds of companies like this, and there were dot-com parties and people getting A and B rounds of funding and throwing these massive parties. It was weird, and I think I don't think it's that kind of craziness, right? It's not the party kind of craziness, but I do think there's a lot of businesses today that are suspect. You kind of look at them and go, how do they make money? Right? At the end of the day, this should be about making money and being profitable. And I think when we go into a recession, I think if you're a tech company that's servicing consumers, right, individuals, right, B2C as it's often called, or even B2B, right, business to business, I think it's going to be a big adjustment. And I think many of you are blind to that, what's coming. I think if you're in the tech industry in the Silicon Valley, it's going to be very uncomfortable. It's going to be very dot-com-like, I think, where there are going to be mass layoffs. It's going to be, people who thought they were safe and secure and worked for a big company moved into some line in the business that wasn't core, and they cut entire lines of business, right? In the Silicon Valley, it's often fun. In the tech industry in general, right? Not necessarily Silicon Valley. It's fun to work on projects that are kind of next gen. But when recessions come, it doesn't happen all the time, but next gen products are often cut to conserve cash. And it doesn't matter if you're the greatest employee, the greatest whatever. If you happen to be a line on a spreadsheet, you're just that. You're just the next one out the door. So I think the next recession is going to be an eye-opener. It's going to hurt tech companies a lot. I think if you really need to be conservative. You need to if you're in a realm or an area that is not producing today, I would seriously think about trying to transfer and get ahead of this. Because again, I think the other side of this is there'll be a lot of companies that get merged or sold for pennies. I think there's a lot of executives that will suddenly want to spend more time with family, right? It's going to be very dot-com like, in that there will be companies that were doing great, had a bad quarter, and the entire management chain is out the door. And I think this will happen for B2C and B2B. But where that ripples to and why I follow this is because I'm a real estate investor. And if you follow this channel for any length of time, you have known that I've been very negative on high-priced areas like the Bay Area. And I think if the recession gets as bad as I think it will, and we see the kind of unemployments with engineers and computer science and all of this, I think Bay Area housing could be in for it, right? I think we could see a 15 or 20% haircut, because I think prices today are so far above '08 that they just can't go any higher. And where I think this holds is if you're flipping houses in the Bay Area, it's time to get small, right? Time to be conservative. There will be, when you come out of the recession, it will be a great time because everybody will be scared. But again, I think Matt from CNBC nailed it. I think it's time for us to look in the mirror, realize what a recession could mean to the tech industry. I think there's going to be a lot of executives leave. I think there's going to be lots of companies merge. I think there's going to be lots of companies that just don't exist anymore. And as Matt points out, this could happen to the big ones, right? I've talked about my history back in .com with WorldCom and Enron. WorldCom was the largest communication company, I believe, at the time, at least by market share or market value, excuse me. And it was gone, right? It basically had a fictitious balance sheet or income statement or whatever it was, and gone. Enron was a collection of arrogant folks that were running a manipulation, gone. So it's going to be interesting to see who is running a fake business in the next recession. And I expect all of this to occur in the next 6 to 12 months. And again, I think when people look back, they're going to say that the recession started in Q3 of 2019. Certainly by Q4 of 2019, it just feels like it's slowing down, right? If you start to feel it already, it's going to be interesting. So in the end, I want to thank you for this. Wanted to keep the series going. And this was a great article by Matt. Again, CNBC, I found it. Here's what will happen to the tech industry in a recession. Go check it out. Thanks.